The European Court of Justice has ruled that Britain can cancel Brexit without the consent of other EU member states. The judges said that a country was free to change its mind until it implemented a withdrawal agreement, as long as the decision was constitutionally valid. The decision is being seen as a blow to those who are pro-Brexit and reason for cheer for those who hope Britain may somehow remain in the European Union. Well, what does this decision mean? Professor Pete Eekhout is Dean of University College London's Faculty of Law and was part of the legal team that brought this case to the European Court of Justice.
Well, it means, first of all, that the UK can still change its mind about withdrawing from the European Union, as long as they do so before the end of the 2-year transition period, or that period as extended, because that period can be extended by unanimity in the European Council. The UK in that period can decide unilaterally. It does not need any agreement by any EU institutions or other member states. But it has to do so unconditionally, to say I remain. So unconditionally, I think, means it's not an opportunity to renegotiate the terms of membership. And the terms of membership would stay as they are today. It would simply be a complete status quo compared to the current situation in terms of...
And what would be the mechanism for Britain to do that? Would it have to be a parliamentary vote?
Well, the mechanism, the court, of course, the court rules on EU law. It doesn't rule on UK law, has no jurisdiction to do so. But it has said, and that's in Article 50, that it has to be in accordance with that member state's constitutional requirements, and it has to be democratic. That's as much as they've said. And I would think in this country that would at least need an act of parliament, and probably parliament would consider that a second referendum would be needed before they would take such a step. But that the court cannot determine.
I think you worked on this legal case.
Yes, I did, yeah.
You must be pleased.
I'm very pleased, yes.
Brexiteers will be disappointed.
I'm sure they will be disappointed, yes. It's only fair enough if you look at how the case came about. A number of members of Parliament, of Parliament in Westminster, also Scottish Parliament and MEPs, said that before we actually take a vote on the withdrawal agreement, we would really like to know what the legal position is. If we vote it down, does that mean that we have to go out without a deal, for example, or is it still possible for the UK to change its mind? So I think it's useful at least to have this clarified.
Now, will this decision have been made independently by the judges, or will they have been under political pressure?
I think it's clearly been made independently, because the Commission and the Council, they can participate in all of these cases. They came to the court. No other member state came to the court. They came to the court and said, our view is that the European Council has to accept the revocation unanimously. So that would have meant that even one single other member state could have blocked the revocation. And so they were clearly putting that view forward to pretend the European Union's interests and the interests of the other member states, and the court did not go along with that. It certainly wasn't pushed by the United Kingdom to make this decision, because the United Kingdom government did not want to put forward any position whatsoever on the question.
Now, this case was decided incredibly quickly by the ECJ's standards. I guess time is of the essence.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sort of taken aback how quickly they've done it. Then I think the court has used a special procedure, which is most often used in criminal cases. But it has, even in the context of that special procedure, decided this really with breakneck speed. And clearly to be able, for the members of Parliament to be able to know what the legal position is before the vote in Parliament, which was scheduled for tomorrow, which I now understand may not take place, or is not going to take place, and may take place later, is quite a tour de force, I think. But it makes sense from the perspective of who they were advising, essentially the members of Parliament voting on the deal.
Now, it is incredibly unclear at the moment how things are going to play out in the coming days and weeks, but how do you think this decision could influence the thinking of the various sides in the various scenarios that could play out?
Yeah, I mean, clearly this decision enables the Remain camp to argue more forcefully for a second referendum, because it would clearly be possible now to have a second referendum which could have as its outcome that the United Kingdom simply remains in the European Union. And the sort of any legal uncertainty around whether that's still possible and the conditions for that to happen is now removed. On the other hand, it may also make the Brexiteer camp more sort of worried about rejecting what is currently on the table, for fear that we might actually see a second referendum So in a sense, perhaps it clarifies a couple of elements in the debate, and we'll have to see how that debate concludes.
And that was Professor of EU Law at University College London, Pete Eekhout. Well, we can go back to Rob Watson, our correspondent at Westminster. How significant